Hello and welcome to a different kind of short summary. This one is actually going to be going over a hurricane, specifically Hurricane Andrew, arguably one of the most intense Atlantic cyclones in recorded history. Hurricane Andrew would start off as your typical tropical disturbance or ridge off the West African coast on August 14th. By the 16th, it had become Tropical Depression 3. The very next day, it achieved the name of Andrew. It is now Tropical Storm Andrew on the 17th of August. The next day, August 18th, is recorded to have a pressure of 1,015 millibars, which is actually surprisingly low, especially for a tropical storm. You may expect to see that pressure-wise with a tropical depression, but as a tropical storm, these things typically are in the very, very low 1000s, or if not all the way into the 980s or 990s already. And at this point, now Tropical Storm Andrew is 1,050 miles away from Nassau, Bahamas. Tropical Storm Andrew would become Hurricane Andrew early on August 22nd. Such rapid intensification was caused by a pressure drop of 47 millibars in just 24 hours. Andrew would achieve a minimum pressure of 922 millibars. Just the next day, on August 23rd, Hurricane Andrew would become a Category 5, with 1 minute maximum sustained winds of 175 miles per hour. Hurricane Andrew would actually strike land 4 separate times. On August 23rd, its first landfall would be Eleuthera Island on the Bahamas, as a Category 5 with winds of 160 miles per hour. The next day, it would strike the Bahamas, specifically the Berry Islands, as a very high Cat 4 with winds of 150 miles per hour. The same day, Hurricane Andrew would strike mainland Florida, Elliott Key, Florida to be exact, as a Category 5 with winds of 175 miles per hour. 2 days later, it would achieve its last landfall, 37 kilometers west-southwest of Morgan City, Louisiana, as a Category 3 with winds of 115 miles per hour. The Bahamian impact is not as major as the mainland US impacts. With winds of 160 miles per hour maximum in its time in the Bahamas, it caused $250 million in damage. Hurricane Andrew would cause 3 direct and 1 non-direct deaths. The very low death toll is attributed to 2 things: the hurricane watches and warnings that were in effect long before Andrew struck, and most of the damage was done on low population islands. Speaking of those hurricane watches and warnings, on August 22nd, the hurricane watch was issued, and this was 30 hours before landfall. It was upgraded to a hurricane warning 6 hours later, and 15 hours before landfall, this hurricane warning was extended. More than 800 homes were destroyed, as well as 5 schools. The coastline was recorded to recede 5 whole kilometers, and Andrew caused a storm surge of 5.2 meters. While doing my research, I found out that Hurricane Andrew was called a dry hurricane, so to speak, and that's because of how little precipitation it fell. Only 61 meters was the maximum precip recorded at Nassau's International Airport. That is very much so short of a foot. A foot is 300 millimeters. So surprisingly little precipitation for such a strong hurricane. Moving on to the impacts of Florida, with maximum winds of 175 miles per hour, Hurricane Andrew caused $25.3 billion in damage, with 15 direct and 29 non-direct deaths in Florida. More than 730,000 buildings, whether those be homes or any type of business structure, whatever, were destroyed and slabbed, very much so similar to how tornadoes slap homes, except you're not going to be seeing the wind rowing that tornadoes cause. Hurricane Andrew left 1.4 million without power in the state of Florida and caused a maximum precipitation of just short of 14 inches. This is a lot less than what you might expect, especially when we look at Katrina, and it was only a Category 3 at landfall. The immense rainfall and also the added toll of that levee destroyed in Louisiana. But Katrina is for another time. Andrew would cause a maximum storm surge of 5.2 meters in Florida. Our last look at impacts is happening in Louisiana. As I said before, with maximum winds of just 115 miles per hour, this is still a Category 3 or a major hurricane. In Louisiana, Andrew caused $1.56 billion in damage and caused 8 direct and 9 non-direct deaths, with maximum precip in Louisiana just short of a foot. There were tides just 2.4 meters above normal, and more than 900 homes were destroyed, with 230,000 without power in Louisiana. As you might expect, with that more than 10 billion in damage to Florida, Hurricane Andrew is one of the most, if not the most, destructive hurricane to impact the state of Florida. It is only one of 4, as of the time of this slide creation, to make U.S. landfall as a Category 5 hurricane. It is the 8th costliest hurricane to hit the mainland United States, again as of this slide creation. It is also the 9th costliest Atlantic hurricane as of right now, and it is tied with Hurricane Camille of 1969 as the second strongest mainland U.S. impact of winds of 175 miles per hour. Hurricane Andrew happened in 1992, obviously part of the 1992 hurricane season, and as with the A name, is actually the very first system to form in the Atlantic. There are no truly other notable hurricanes that would happen during the 92 season. It was relatively quiet. But Andrew exploded onto the scene and then left for good. If I'm not mistaken, Andrew is also a retired name now. I thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next short summary or weather topic video. Goodbye. Love you all.